the 1790s, the great military road, Yonge Street, was built from York to Holland Landing. For stagecoach travelers, Yonge was bumpy, hilly, and notoriously muddy. The welcoming light of a tavern could be seen every half mile or so. It's no surprise that intoxication gradually increased along the journey, both for passengers and the driver. The northwest corner of today's Yonge and Queen Streets was occupied by the Sun Tavern. Built in the 1820s, this small frame structure was among several taverns in the city that held political rallies leading up to the rebellion of 1837. Here, Reform leader William Lyon Mackenzie spoke from the balcony to crowds below about his misgivings of the ruling government. As a result, the corner of today's Queen and Yonge was known as Rebels' Corner. North of Queen, Yonge Street passed by the Dewdrop Inn at Shooter and the Gardener's Arms at Charles Street. When travelers arrived at Bloor, they found a grand white tavern famous in Upper Canada. Located on the east side of Yonge, the Red Lion was built around 1810, later called the Hotel de Ville of Yorkville. Its ballroom on the second floor was popular among York soldiers who came there to dance the night away.
The Red Lion was the heart of a village called Yorkville. Yorkville was a separate village then. And it was here, too, that William Lyon Mackenzie often rallied his supporters as they moved towards the rebellion of 1837. In one case, there was an election being held right in the tavern itself, and Mackenzie got his supporters down to that election, and he won by 119 votes to 1. And the Red Lion, of course, as were many taverns, was situated at a toll gate. And farmers just hated stopping at these toll gates to pay the tolls, as we're probably going to end up doing on our highways pretty soon. And to relieve their frustration, taverns grew up around many of Toronto's toll gates.
At St. Clair and Yonge, travelers found Michael O'Halloran's Hotel, also known as Little Mike. It was the area's two cemeteries, St. Michael's and Mount Pleasant, that brought business to Little Mike. Those visiting the cemetery stopped by the tavern afterwards to drown their sorrows over a spirit or two and some fare. North of today's Eglinton and Yonge was Montgomerys Tavern, built around 1830. There was nothing all that special about Montgomerys Tavern until December 7, 1837, when a famous battle took place here. During the rebellion of 1837, former Mayor William Lyon Mackenzie gathered support from reformers, rebels, and farmers who wanted to overthrow the government. However, on that day, reformers were beaten by government troops at an historic battle at Montgomerys Tavern. This historic battle was a catalyst in the establishment of responsible government. One of the last remaining Yonge Street taverns is the York Mills Hotel, built in the 1850s. Early on, this hotel was a key landmark in the York Mills community. It was known as a great place to get a 1-cent drink and a tasty steak dinner, and every year on July 12th, a special meal was hosted here after the annual Orange Parade. In the 1930s, the hotel was turned into a ritzy club called the Jolly Miller, but soon after, it became a popular beer hall. Reopening in 2004 as the Miller Tavern, the building was restored, reviving its Georgian elements. By the 1850s, there were more than 60 taverns on Yonge Street, and the Golden Lion Hotel at the southwest corner of Yonge and Shepherd was considered one of Yonge Street's finest. Built by pioneer Thomas Shepherd, this two-story inn was located in the community of Lansing. Its elegant dance hall was a place where band practices took place, and locals were known to sing a jolly tune about the tavern. Over the main entrance, a life-size wooden carving of a lion was an attraction for residents of Lansing. Today, this statue sits in the Canadiana Room, on the 6th floor of the North York Central Library. From Yonge Street, we venture to Queen Street, the northern border of Toronto, in the early 1800s. One of Toronto's longest-running taverns is located on Queen Street West. It was once surrounded by farmland stretching to Bloor, and now it's located in a hotspot in Toronto. Still popular today, the Black Bull was established way back in 1833. Located at Queen and Soho, known earlier as Maria Street, the Black Bull's patio is packed many nights of the week. It started off as the Black Bull Hotel with a wooden horse trough out front. As hotels got larger and more elaborate, a new structure was built in the 1880s. Featuring Second Empire details, it was known for a time as the Clifton Hotel. Although the old horse trough has disappeared, there is still an old-looking tavern sign out front that reminds us of these early days. Many other taverns were located on Queen Street West, including the W.C. Max Inniskillen Arms between University and Simcoe, long popular among Orangemen. Further west, the Bluebell Tavern gave rise to a village of the same name, now long gone. At the time that it was built, the Bluebell Tavern stood opposite the Fort York garrison.
The Bluebell was located where Queen Street and Ossington are today. Now, it's hard to conceive as you go out to Queen Street that this was a rural junction, a road junction, between the Lakeshore Road, which became Queen Street, and the old Dundas Road, which became Ossington. So a couple of taverns were located here. The Bluebell Tavern gave rise to the Bluebell Village, and because it was a rural retreat and coming very close to the lake, a lot of folks from smoggy old York would go out there for their country holidays.
East of Yonge, Queen Street was also a popular locale for taverns.
Well, where we're standing right now is the center of a community known as Leslieville, when Queen Street here was Kingston Road. In the 1850s, a hotel was built on the corner over there. It was known as Uncle Tom's Cabin originally, a very strange name for a hotel. In the 1870s, it was replaced by that solid structure that you see there today. And of course, it served the stagecoach travelers and eventually became a refreshment stop for people on the early streetcar lines as well.
Taverns were located on all major roads in Ontario, and Dundas, as the route west, was no exception. Along the way, there were plenty of establishments for travelers to grab a drink or stay the night, including something called the Appy Forum. We'll find out about that next on Structures.